Why is it that we can prepare for a high-stakes board meeting in Midtown Manhattan or navigate a 5-way intersection in Los Angeles without breaking a sweat? But the moment we hold a tiny spoonful of mashed carrots in front of a 6-month-old, we completely lose our minds. It's one of those universal parenting paradoxes. You've spent months perfecting the art of the diaper change and mastering the nap time hustle, and suddenly a new challenge appears on the horizon: solids. Today we are diving deep into the messy, hilarious, and occasionally terrifying world of your baby's first foods. If you've been staring at the baby food aisle in Target feeling like you're reading ancient hieroglyphics, or if you're terrified that a piece of avocado is a ticking time bomb, this episode is for you. We're going to strip away the mom guilt, ignore the Instagram influencers for a second, and look at the actual science and the boots-on-the-ground reality of starting solids. Most parents think that on the day their baby turns exactly 6 months old, a magical switch flips and they are suddenly ready to eat a 3-course meal. But the reality? It's much more nuanced. We've been conditioned by old-school advice, sometimes from our own well-meaning parents, that says, just put some rice cereal in the bottle, or start at 4 months so they sleep through the night. Spoiler alert, neither of those things is actually recommended anymore. In fact, research from organizations like the American Academy of Pediatrics shows that starting too early can actually lead to higher risks of obesity and allergies later in life. We see parents in cities like Chicago or Houston rushing to the store the moment their baby hits the 4-month mark because they saw a stage 1 jar, but their baby can't even hold their head up yet. That's where the confusion starts. We're following labels on jars instead of the cues from our own children. So how do you actually know? It's not about the calendar, it's about the milestones. First, can your baby sit up with minimal support? If they're slouching like a teenager on a Sunday morning, their digestive tract isn't ready. Second, do they have good head and neck control? This is vital for safety. Third, and this is the funny one, have they lost the tongue thrust reflex? You know, that thing where they push everything out of their mouth with their tongue. If they're still doing that, they're literally telling you, hey, I'm not ready for this yet. And finally, are they showing interest? Are they watching you eat your avocado toast in Brooklyn with an intensity that feels slightly predatory? If they're reaching for your fork or mimicking your chewing motions, that's a huge green light. Let's talk about the great debate. In the blue corner, we have spoon feeding, the traditional method. In the red corner, we have baby-led weaning, or BLW. For decades, the puree path was the only way. You steam, you blend, you spoon feed. It's controlled, it's measurable, and it's generally less messy. But then came BLW, popularized by experts who argued that babies should skip the mush and go straight to finger foods. The idea is that the baby feeds themselves, which helps with fine motor skills and self-regulation. I remember a friend in San Francisco who started BLW with her daughter. She gave the baby a whole steamed floret of broccoli. The baby didn't eat much of it, but she spent 45 minutes exploring the texture, the smell, and the taste. On the flip side, I knew a dad in Denver who preferred purees because he wanted to know exactly how many ounces of peas his son consumed. The truth? Neither is better. A combination approach is often the sweet spot for busy American families. You can do a smoothie or yogurt on a spoon in the morning and a piece of soft-cooked sweet potato for the baby to grab at dinner. Now let's address the elephant in the room: choking. This is the #1 fear for every parent I've ever talked to. But here's the secret. You have to learn the difference between gagging and choking. Gagging is a normal, healthy safety mechanism. When a baby gags, they are loud, they are red in the face, and they are actively pushing the food forward. It looks scary, but it's their body working perfectly. Choking, however, is silent. They can't cough, they can't cry, and they might start turning blue. This is why you never, ever leave a baby alone while eating, and you always make sure they are sitting upright. High chairs aren't just for convenience, they are safety equipment. If you're in a cramped apartment in North White Sea, find a sturdy clip-on chair, but make sure it has a footrest. Believe it or not, having their feet supported helps a baby engage their core muscles, which actually makes swallowing safer. Let's talk gear. You don't need a $1,000 setup, but a few things make life easier. You need a good high chair, and I mean one that is easy to clean. If it has 100 fabric nooks and crannies, you will be scrubbing dried sweet potato out of it for the next 3 years. You need soft silicone spoons that are gentle on their gums. And you need the Splat mat. A dog, congratulations. You have a dog, congratulations. You have a built-in vacuum cleaner. But if not, get the mat. Also, silicone bibs with the pocket at the bottom, absolute game changers. They catch the stray blueberries before they hit the baby's lap. Now, what about the actual food? The old advice was to start with bland rice cereal, but modern pediatricians are moving away from that. Rice cereal can be high in arsenic and doesn't have much flavor. Instead, think about iron-rich foods. Babies' natural iron stores start to dip around 6 months. Think pureed meats, beans, or even iron-fortified oatmeal. And don't be afraid of flavor. We tend to think babies want everything bland, but in many cultures around the world, from Mexico to Thailand, babies are introduced to spices early on. You don't want to give them 5-alarm chili, but a little cumin or cinnamon. It expands their palate and makes them less likely to be picky eaters later. Here is a reveal that shocks many parents. The allergen rule has changed. 10 years ago, doctors told us to wait until age 3 to give peanuts or eggs. But the LEAP study, that stands for Learning Early About Peanut Allergy, completely flipped that on its head. Researchers found that introducing common allergens early, around 6 months, actually reduced the risk of developing an allergy by up to 80%. So, don't be afraid to mix a little thinned-out peanut butter into their oatmeal. Just do it at home during the day so you can keep an eye on them for any reactions like hives or swelling. Let's walk through a realistic roadmap. Week 1, it's all about the first taste. Pick one food, maybe mashed avocado or steamed pear. Do it once a day, usually mid-morning when the baby isn't too tired or too hungry. Remember, their primary nutrition still comes from breast milk or formula. This is just practice. Week 2 to 4. Start introducing a new food every 2 or 3 days. This helps you identify if a specific food causes a tummy ache or a rash. By month 8, you should be aiming for 2 to 3 meals a day. This is when textures get fun. Move from smooth purees to lumpy mashes. If you're doing BLW, this is when they start getting really good at the pincer grasp, using their thumb and forefinger to pick up a single pea. What happens when they won't eat? It's going to happen. You'll spend 40 minutes steaming organic butternut squash, and your baby will take one look at it and burst into tears. Don't take it personally. It takes an average of 10 to 15 exposures for a baby to accept a new flavor. If they spit it out today, try again in 3 days. And let's talk about the mess. It is going to be everywhere. In their hair, in their ears, on your ceiling. Embrace it. Sensory play is a huge part of learning. When they squish a banana through their fingers, they are learning about physics and texture. If you try to keep them perfectly clean, you might actually create a negative association with mealtime. Let's look at a case study. Take Sarah from Boston. She was a self-proclaimed neat freak. When she started solids with her son Leo, she would wipe his face after every single bite. Leo started refusing the spoon. He would turn his head away and cry the moment he saw the bib. Why? Because the constant wiping was irritating and invasive. It turned mealtime into a chore. Once Sarah learned to let him get messy, to let the yogurt cover his nose and chin, Leo started smiling again. He started reaching for the spoon. The lesson? The goal isn't consumption. The goal is connection and exploration. As you move into the advanced stages, around 9 or 10 months, start thinking about family meals. This is a very American struggle because we are always on the go. But if you can, sit the baby at the table while you eat your dinner. If you're having spaghetti, give them some plain, well-cooked noodles. If you're having grilled chicken, give them a tiny shredded piece. This models healthy behavior. They see you eating, they hear the conversation, and they feel like part of the tribe. This is how you raise a foodie, instead of a child who only eats chicken nuggets shaped like dinosaurs. To recap this journey, first, look for the signs of readiness: sitting up, interest in food, and the loss of that tongue thrust. Second, choose the method that fits your lifestyle, whether that's purees, BLW, or a mix of both. Third, prioritize safety by learning the difference between gagging and choking. Fourth, don't be afraid of allergens or spices. And finally, keep it fun. This is a massive milestone in your baby's life. You are literally building their relationship with food for the rest of their lives. So, take a deep breath, put on an old t-shirt you don't mind getting stained, grab your camera, and get ready for the cutest, messiest show on earth. If you have questions about specific foods or want to share your first food disaster stories, drop a comment below. I want to hear about the time the sweet potato ended up on the dog. In our next episode, we'll be talking about the toddler transition and how to handle the sudden "I only eat white bread" phase. Until then, happy feeding.